I'm Frank Garza, and welcome to Here and Abroad, a podcast that follows the U.S. men's national team and their player pool across Europe, MLS, or wherever else they play their club football. Next week, we're expecting Mauricio Pochettino to announce his USMNT roster for the upcoming November friendlies against Paraguay and Uruguay. On today's show, we're going to give our predictions as to what that roster might look like. Joining me again is Kyle Bond from the Sporting News. So, Kyle, when I first started to think about this exercise, I thought there would be maybe 3 or 4 player changes from October. But then when I got into it, I actually marked up 13 guys that I think are at risk of not making it into November. Does that number surprise you?
Yeah, it does. I have not done this exercise. I usually do it live with you, so I'm excited to see where those changes are and see what we think about it. But yeah, that's significant.
Yeah. And let me give you a little bit more background. So what I did, I just started with the October roster, the 26-man October roster. And I went through and I just highlighted each guy that I thought wasn't a lock to make November. And that could be due to one of 3 reasons. Number one, in October, they just didn't perform all that great, or maybe they didn't get any minutes whatsoever. And so it's like they didn't prove themselves in October. I'm not going to go ahead and put them on that roster for November. There's also guys that have some kind of injury concerns that I marked. And there's also guys whose club situations maybe have changed since October. For example, MLS guys whose teams are already out of the playoffs, aren't going to be playing in a couple weeks. I marked them as well. And so what I have here, and I'm sharing it with you now, is just on the left. People on YouTube can see this. For everyone else, I'll talk through it. On the left, you can just see the October roster, and I've gone through and I highlighted people in yellow that I think are at risk. I'm not necessarily saying I think they're not going to be there, but I just think we need to talk through, is it going to be them, or is it going to be, somebody else? And so let's start with goalkeepers. I feel confident Matt Freese is going to be there, but the remaining 3 guys, Chris Brady, Patrick Schulte, and Matt Turner, I can't say they're locks. I mean, I don't really actually know much about how they did in October because, they didn't play. And so I just felt like all 3 of the other guys besides Matt Freese are at risk of not making it back. I mean, how are you seeing the goalkeeper situation? And then to the right, I would say I have some of the other options that Poch has considered in the past.
Yeah, I think for me, it's really those 4 guys now. Because I think the decisions sort of have been made where the depth chart is. And so to me, I think unless one of them dips in form significantly or has a bad performance, I think it will be those 4 guys in contention for the 3 places. I still think that Matt Turner will be on the roster, especially because I think he'll get at least a game. I think what happened in October will give him a chance to have a game. I don't know what happened, but it sounded like Pochettino wanted to split the games between the 2 Matts and just didn't get the chance to for whatever reason. He wouldn't divulge what that reason was, but it sounded like there was some unforeseen circumstance that led to Matt Freese starting both games. So I think Turner will get 1 game. But to me, it seems like it's hard to evaluate a 3rd stringer and a 4th stringer because you're really not going to get them game time with so many limited matches between now and the World Cup. So it's all about how they train. And we as fans can't see that. So we just sort of have to go off of what little we have to go off.
Yeah. Well, see, Turner's the guy I have the biggest doubt for this camp, just because he's not playing anymore. Matt Freese, Chris Brady, Patrick Schulte, they're all in the MLS playoffs. Turner's season has been done for over a week. It'll be a month, between when he played his last MLS match and when that first friendly is, that he hasn't gotten any minutes whatsoever. So I'm like, are you really going to bring in a guy that hasn't played a match, in a month? And there's a number of decisions like that Posh is going to have to make with other players as well. But I tend to think Freese, Brady, and Schulte will be there, but Matt Turner might be replaced just because he's not playing. And when I look at that list, I mean, it's not going to be Zach Steffen because he's not playing either. I'm looking at, it's not going to be Gaga Slonina. So the guys I have are Zach Steffen, Diego Cochin, Gaga Slonina, Roman Celentano, and Jonathan Klinsmann. I think it'll be Cochin, Celentano, or Klinsmann if he was going to bring in one of the guys to replace Matt Turner. I mean,
he's never called in Cochin. I don't think it'll happen now.
Yeah.
And I mean, Celentano, I don't know. It's to me, it's either Klinsmann or the other four guys. And I mean, we'll see, but I really do think Turner will get a game. To me, it seems like he's the solid backup at this point. And just because he hasn't played in a few weeks, I mean, that never stopped him from getting called in earlier when he wasn't playing at the club level, so I think he'll be there.
Okay. Yeah. I think I may disagree with you here, Kyle. But we're gonna disagree on some of these. I'm gonna move them out.
Are we really gonna drop the starter from last World Cup all the way out of the roster? Like I don't see the purpose.
I'm not saying we're gonna drop him out of the roster.
But then we're
I still think he's the number two.
We're at the point. If he's the number two, he's there. We're at the point where he's calling in the World Cup roster as best he can. Yeah. So I don't see why I don't get the point of leaving him off.
Yeah, he might. You know what he might do? He might not take 4 goalkeepers.
No,
he might just take 3. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna take him off. I'm gonna take him off, Kyle.
I just don't see why.
Yeah, because he's not playing. And I'm like, the guy has to be ready to play. He's not even practicing. Do you know what I mean? He's not practicing or playing for a month. And I think
goalkeeper is the position that matters least. He can train.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna agree to disagree on this one. I'm moving him off to the side here. This is. I'm not gonna blame Kyle for this one when I'm wrong. I'm bringing in Celentano because he's playing for FC Cincinnati. He had a clean sheet last night. And I remember Poch actually mentioning him in one of the press conferences when he was just talking about players in general. But let's note, so I'm bringing in Matt Freese, Chris Brady, Patrick Schulte, Roman Celentano. Kyle sticking with Matt Freese, Chris Brady, Patrick Schulte, and Matt Turner. But I'm not even greater than 25% chance certain there. Okay, let's go to defenders. Okay, so the 3 guys that I marked in yellow. So the defenders, I think Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, Max Arfston did enough in the last camp. They're all healthy, no issues. But I marked up Cameron Carter-Vickers because he didn't even play a minute in the last camp. I've marked up Alex Freeman because, again, his season is over now for Orlando City. And then I've marked up Anthony Robinson just because of his injury concerns. Those 3 guys in yellow, what's your thoughts on whether they'll be there or whether they'll be replaced?
I think you're accurate. I think that Freeman will be there only because Poch likes him enough and considers him a part of this roster moving forward. So I don't really see why he wouldn't be there. I think Carter-Vickers is gone. He didn't get a minute last time out. Celtic are really struggling right now. They lost to Hearts over the weekend in Scottish Premier League play and are now 7 points back of Hearts in second place. So they're having a hard time. And I think he's out, and I think it will be either George Campbell or Noah Kai Banks. I've seen rumblings that Banks is a real possibility to be on the World Cup roster. And he is now, we've talked about him for months, and I keep saying, if he's not playing at the club level, you can't put him in, regardless of how big of a prospect he is, right? Like, he's got to start for his club before he can start for the national team. Well, he's starting for his club. He started the last 3 games. However, he played the full 90 minutes in a 6-0 loss to RB Leipzig. So there's some growing pains here. Now, I didn't watch the match. I don't know how he particularly performed, but I can't imagine that anybody played well in a 6-0 defeat. So there's some growing pains there. We will see how Pochettino evaluates him, but I think it'll be one of those two guys. I think George Campbell is a shot to be on the roster just because of his flexibility. And I think he's a useful piece. He's playing for his club. He's healthy. He's in good form. So I think he's a good bet. But
I agree with you there. I'm gonna put him in there. I could see either one too, but I think George Campbell deserves to be in there, especially because of his flexibility to play out wide a little bit.
The other question here is Anthony Robinson, and he's still not playing. That knee is really problematic. It's starting to get a bit worrisome, where you start to think, if he's not playing for the national team for so long leading up to the World Cup, how could that affect his positioning within the squad? And you also have to remember Serginho Dest is playing now. He's healthy. And Serginho Dest can play left back. I wouldn't be shocked if now the roles are Tim Weah on the right and Serginho Dest on the left. So to me, it's Dest over Robinson right now. Until we see Jedi back on the field, I can't be, in a position to put him in the national team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think he's going to risk him. No. He flew all the way here last time, didn't play a minute. Why do that again when he still can't get back with his club? I agree with you, absolutely. I think Cameron Carter's won't be there. George Campbell should be there instead. Dest is going to be back. That makes sense. He can play left or right. So Anthony Robinson will leave him at home. I do, and again, I'm going to give you this one, because I took the last one, but I do have my doubts about whether Freeman will be brought in again because he's not playing anymore. And I could see this being the time to bring in Joe Scally for kind of one last chance. Joe Scally can also play on the left or the right, so it gives you that flexibility. So it wouldn't surprise me at all.
He wasn't very good on the left when he's played there.
Well, I know he's not gonna give you the in attack what anybody else that we're talking about can, but maybe if you're gonna just have him play that Miles Robinson role from last camp, where he's just helping in the build up and then sitting back defensively when they don't have the ball, I think you could play him there.
I'll say this too, it hasn't gotten any better at Gladbach since we last talked.
That's true. He didn't even start the last match.
No, and they got pummeled by Bayern, but everybody gets pummeled by Bayern. But
I just don't know who else. I mean, I guess if you could bring in John Tolkien as another left back if you felt like you really needed some depth there. But I don't know, that'll be an interesting decision. Does he bring in Freeman or does he bring in one of these other guys?
I will still put. I've repeated this so many times, but I'm going to repeat it again. I would love to see Marlon Fossey back in this camp. I know we're kind of beyond the point of this, but if we are looking for depth at the fullback position, he is a regular starter for Standard Liège, one of the biggest clubs in Belgium. They're not having a great season, but he is a consistent starter and he is captaining the club. And he performed well in the small chance that he got with the U.S. national team. I would love to see him back as an option if we're at that stage.
Yeah, and he does give you something going forward too, and a little bit of flair. Okay, we'll see how Poch does it. We're going with McKenzie, Ream, Richards, Robinson, Campbell, Arfston, Freeman, and Dest for now. Let's go to the midfield now. Okay, so Weston McKennie, Christian Rodon, Tanner Tessman, Malik Tillman, I feel like are all safe. The guys I have in yellow, Brendan Aronson, Diego Luna, Aiden Morris, James Sands are all at risk. I mean, Diego Luna I put there because his season's done now in MLS. Brendan Aronson, Aiden Morris, James Sands I put there just because they just seem to be on the bubble anyway, even though I think Brendan Aronson and James Sands performed really well in the minutes they got at the last camp. So I could see them being brought back in, but there's so many other players. Tyler Adams is going to come back in. I mean, how do you see that? How do you see these four guys in yellow that I've put here?
Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind is that, and I'm just looking this up now, but James Sands is in concussion protocol. So that's something to watch. He missed their last match. And also, things have kind of nosedived quite quickly for St. Pauli. They started really well. They won 2 of their first 3 games and drew the other, and it's been 5 straight defeats in league play since then. Now, not to say that that's his fault, and he played very well when he was given the chance with the national team. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him back in if he's healthy. But those are 2 things to consider with James Sands. I would love to see Johnny Cardoso get another opportunity, but he is still injured and has not played for Atletico Madrid since the injury. So I would not expect him to be an option. Outside of that, maybe this is the chance for Yunus Musa. But I will say this, Poch hasn't really been someone who says, all right, we'll give you an opportunity to show what you can do. He said, earn it at the club level before you come in for the national team. And he hasn't played at all. The situation has not changed at Atalanta for Yunus Musa since the last time we did this. Since the October international 2 or 3 break.
Matches,
Since the October international break, he has been an unused substitute twice. So there's 3 times. 3 times. An unused substitute 3 times. Twice in Serie A, once in the Champions League. So he hasn't played a single minute since we did this last time. So I don't see it. Tyler Adams will be back. I would expect him to take over for Aiden Morris. Beyond that, we know that Jack McGlynn is high up the depth chart.
He's still injured. He's still injured.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Should have just taken him off.
So we know that Sebastian Berhalter is high up the depth chart. So I could see those 2 coming in, but there's not many options other than those guys.
Yeah. Well, we know Tyler Adams is coming in, right? And I do think between Morris and Sands, I thought Sands performed better.
I would agree.
The 2 last camp.
But he may not be healthy.
So it depends on the injury. I guess we'll have to see how that's going. But let's take Morris out for now. We'll put Adams in. And then, again, I could be totally wrong here, but I'm still going on all these MLS guys that aren't playing anymore. So is he really going to bring in Diego Luna? Or could he bring in like a Sebastian Berhalter, like you mentioned, instead?
Here's the thing, though, Frank. They got rid of January camp this year.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have that opportunity now to keep these guys going. I think they're going to come back in.
Really?
I mean, a month is not that long. And for some of them, it's only 3 weeks. I don't think it's that big a deal to them.
Okay. Well, we can leave him in there, though. I think if you do take him out, if we did leave him off, I'd think that the next guy to come in would be Sebastian Berhalter. I don't see any way Yunus Musa or Johnny Cardoso come back in at this point. I think it would be Berhalter. What do you think?
It's either Berhalter or De La Torre for me, unless McGlynn's healthy. But
okay. So we'll stick with Weston McKennie, Christian Roldan, Tanner Tessman, Malik Tillman, Brendan Aronson, Diego Luna, Tyler Adams, James Sands. But kind of noting that we think the next guy in would be either Berhalter or De La Torre if he decides to leave, one of them at home. Okay, last on the list is forwards. Fuller and Balogun, Tim Weah, Haji Wright, I have as kind of locks. I have Christian Pulisic, Patrick Ajiman, and Alex Zendejas in yellow. Pulisic is solely because of the injury. It seems like he's going to be returning right around the time that potentially this roster comes out, or maybe the last match before the international break. So I don't know if they want to risk him.
I would err on the side of no, just because I've seen some reports that the U.S. national team is in conversations with AC Milan to not call him in. So it does sound like there's rumblings that he will not be there, even if he's healthy. So we'll see. Like, that doesn't mean anything, it's tabloid reporting, but that's all we have to go off right now. So I would work under the presumption that he will not be there.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's take him out. Patrick Agyemang, I think, he's been playing well for Derby County. The only reason I have him in yellow is because I feel like he's kind of on the bubble with Pepe now playing again. That'll be an interesting decision that Poch has to make. Is Pepe doing well enough to come back in November, or is he going to stick with Agyemang as that kind of third number 9? And then Alex Zendejas, he got injured, didn't even play last camp. Do you know where he is?
He hasn't played
America right now.
He hasn't played since he didn't play on the 21st or the 24th. So not sure.
Yeah. So he's maybe at risk as well then, to be honest with you. Let's move him out. I mean, geez, so I mean, you're running kind of thin here. So if you're going to bring 6 forwards, and you only have, I guess Haji Wright can play on the wing as well. It feels like you need another wide player to bring in here, but I don't know who that is unless you're going to play like Tillman there or something like that.
I'll give you a guy.
Okay.
If you're ever going to call Gio Reyna in, now's the time.
Yeah.
He's got 2 bench appearances for Gladbach. I mean, it's only 36 minutes, but he played 30 minutes off the bench against Union Berlin. If you're ever going to do it, now's the time. I think Pepe will be there. And he can play out wide. Yeah.
I just don't see Gio Reyna. I can't put Gio Reyna there. I mean, based on Poch's whole philosophy, there's just...
Who else you got?
He hasn't done anything. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but all these guys on this list here, I think Poch would bring it over Gio Reyna. I mean, do you bring in Sargent? No. I mean, Paxton Aronson, his season's done. Damian Downs hasn't been playing well. There's Brian Gutierrez that he's brought in before that could play out wide, right? I don't think he always plays centrally, does he?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, shoot, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe I'll leave Zendejas in here and just hope that he gets healthy, because I honestly don't know who else you would bring in. I think he might just elect to bring in 5 forwards if Zendejas isn't there, and maybe just choose to bring in some additional, attacking midfielders that maybe have the flexibility to play out on the right. But we're looking pretty thin at forwards right now. So we'll go Balogun, Weah, Wright, Pepe, Agyemang, Zendejas. I don't love that, but based on what we know, I think that's about as best as we can do right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel? I mean, how do you feel about this roster after we've kind of gone through and talked about what it might look like?
Yeah, I think we're getting close. Frank. I think we have a better idea of the depth chart now. Which is what allows us to do this, right? You go, okay, if not this, then this. If not this, then this. And we have a pretty good idea of where Poch is at.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that there's still so many guys out, due to injuries, and we're at this weird spot with the end of the MLS season, where you even have to think about players not playing. But I think this team, that the players that we've talked about bringing in here, they certainly should be able to go out and compete against Paraguay and Uruguay in a couple weeks here. So looking forward to those results. Looking forward to see how Poch handles some of these decisions with this window. All right, well, Kyle, I will make sure and put links in the show notes to your X account, which is at @_bonfire, and also to your work at the Sporting News. Thanks again for joining the show.
Thank you, Frank. I'm looking forward to it. This is without January camp, we're gonna go a while between national team breaks, so we'll have to figure out how we're gonna pass the time.
4 months, pretty much 4 months with no U.S. men's national
and then
team
another 4 months.
matches. Yeah, that's going to be crazy. Well, I'll worry about when I get there. I'll just look forward to this window for now. All right. Thanks to everyone for listening to Here and Abroad. If you enjoyed the episode, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or that follow button if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or somewhere else. Thank you so much. I'm Frank Garza. You can follow me on X @FrankGarza007, and I'll be back next week with a new episode.